Konnichiwa! Shalom! Ciao! Bonjour! Namaste! Jumbo!
Bienvenidos! Hey, my name is Jedley. This is Reading with Your Kids. We are beaming out to you in the entire solar system from the beautiful, book-loving neighborhood of Reedville, the loveliest neighborhood in all of Boston. You know, I truly believe with all of my heart that when a child sits down with a parent, grandparent, or teacher and they open up a book, hearts connect, imaginations grow, and love shines brighter. We're so honored that you're joining us in our mission to help all families grow closer through reading. Please tell all of your family and friends about the show and let them know that they can hear us on the WREB AM/FM 24/7 radio network, and they can find us on the iHeartRadio app, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Good Pods Podcast Addict, YouTube, Amazon Music, Audible, Player FM. Wherever you find your favorite shows, you can find Reading with Your Kids. Really excited. We have a great show for you today. Keith Negley is first. He is celebrating the beginner's guide to being a wizard. And later in the show, Wanda Arlene Barajas returns to Reading with Your Kids to celebrate Carina and Sabi, a journey to the Heart of Cidra. Hey, for all the authors that are listening to the show, you know, your book deserves more than just a sticker. If you've written a children's book, can I ask you a question? When your book wins an award, what happens next? For many authors, the answer is not much. You've received a beautiful seal. You celebrate for a couple of days. Maybe you post it on social media, and then life, it moves on, and your wonderful book goes right back to waiting for readers to discover it. At Reading with Your Kids, we believe authors deserve more than that. That's why we created the Reading with Your Kids Certified Great Read program. Yes, we carefully review books and celebrate the ones we believe truly deserve to be called Certified Great Reads. That's only where the adventure begins. We create a complete celebration all around your book. A professional review, retailer reviews, a custom announcement video, original social media content, press release, podcast features, marketing ideas, beautiful graphics, and our signature 30-day celebration adventure. A simple, practical guide designed to help you introduce your book to more families, more schools, more libraries, more bookstores, and more communities that are already looking for books just like yours. Because here's something we've learned after interviewing thousands of authors. Great books don't always become successful books. Successful books are the ones that are discovered. Our mission is simple. We want to help your book find the families who need it most. If you'd like to learn more, please visit readingwithyourkids.com and click on the Authors Click Here button up at the top of the page and scroll down to Certified Great Reads. Let's work together to help more kids fall in love with reading, one wonderful book at a time. Before we invite our guest into the studio, I would love to invite you to visit a very special website. It's clownswithoutborders.org. Clownswithoutborders.org. This is a group that I absolutely adore. I am part of Clowns Without Borders, and I had the honor of being part of the 2023 tour of El Salvador. I had so much fun joining with artists from all over the world to bring a smile to people who really needed it and really appreciated it too. And we would love for you to join us as a monthly Joy Maker. Joy Makers, they're a family of people just like you who love to laugh and make other people feel good. So please take a moment and visit clownswithoutborders.org and consider joining me as a Joy Maker. Join us right now from the beautiful state of Washington. Our guest is here today to celebrate his brand new picture book. It's called The Beginner's Guide to Being a Wizard. Please welcome to the show, Keith Negley. Keith, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me, Jed.
Delighted to have you on. Boy, I could have used this book 35 plus years ago when I started my career as a magician.
Oh, yeah, you could have. This would have been absolutely invaluable. Like, there's so much information in here that, is absolutely 100% true. So, yeah, I did a lot of research. A lot of research went into it.
Yeah. So tell us about the book. Who are we going to meet in the book?
So this is the beginning of a series called The Beginner's Guide, and this one is to being a wizard. And so it's got everything from like a really fun like diagram where you break down like the makings of a physical wizard and like their diet and their habitat and where they hide the emergency cheese. And so there's a lot of super, super relevant and important work, like how to find a magic wand, what makes a good cloak, things like that. And then there's all kinds of really good tips and rules, let's see here. So there's like a whole list of rules about wizard duel etiquette specifically, And so just as an example, one rule is you're not allowed to summon your grandmother for help.
This is true.
She's way too powerful. You just can't do it. It's not fair. If you accidentally turn the moon into a pie, you must share the pie. There is no hoarding space pie. So yeah, there's super fun stuff in here. So it's just this fun combination of like ridiculous and fantasy combined with like the mundane sort of delivery of a guidebook. And so when I happened upon this combination, it just kind of almost wrote itself. I'm like, it's just super fun to do. And we've got another one coming out next year, and I'm hoping people really like it so I can keep making them.
That's cool. How did this concept kind of drop into your lap?
It's so funny. Where did it go? I just pulled it out. I did another interview earlier today, but there's, I don't know if you're familiar, but there's this book called The Journal of a Disappointed Man. And I found this. Yeah, I found this in a used bookstore. It was published in like 1919, and it's just a diary of this man in, I want to say he's somewhere in England. And it starts off with him like as a 12-year-old, and it just goes on and on into his life until he ends up passing away. And I don't even think he knew, I think he died after or before it was published, but somebody happened upon it. He's such a beautiful writer, but what it is basically just this grumpy old man complaining the whole time. And he's just like, he's got a toothache and he complains about the weather and he complains about the neighbors making noise. And but the way he writes it is so eloquent and so sweet that you just fall in love with him. And so I was thinking, well, how can I make this into a children's book? Which is naturally, I ask myself that question like daily. And, I thought, well, maybe he could be a wizard and it's just like a diary of a grumpy wizard. And that slowly turned into like, an advice book, giving kids advice about how to be a wizard, which turned into like a guidebook. And then once that happened, I was like, well, I could make a guidebook about anything. Yeah, I just took off from there.
Cool. Now, do you, as you're creating this, are you immediately thinking this could be a series? Or is it just like the first one came out and the folks at the publishing house said, oh, we can do some more of these?
Yeah, no, I mean, the series, it came about after I came up with the idea, but it didn't take much long after that because I had already been working on a book. It's not acquired yet, but it was basically like the first days of kindergarten. So it was like kind of like an advice book about how to go about, your first day of kindergarten. But that one was a little more like serious and like filled with like poignant, sweet little notes. But so then it was like, well, I'm making this beginner's guide to wizards. I could make a beginner's guide to kindergarten, and it could be like just ridiculous and silly, and that would be way more fun. And so then it just took off from there. Like the next book coming out is the beginner's guide to owning a cat. But I've got other ones: the beginner's guide to catching a ghost, the beginner's guide to pooping your pants, beginner's guide to making a mistake. And so it just goes on. And it's like, there's so much fun. There's not like a story arc in them. You know what I mean? There'll be like, there's a character that you follow, but it's really, the format is just really just so well lended to just like making funny jokes the whole time and just trying to get kids to laugh, and parents too.
I'm immediately thinking that this is a book that my son would have loved when he was 6, 7 years old.
Yeah, absolutely. My youngest he's just turning 9 next month, but yeah, he was absolutely a huge part of like making sure what jokes were going to land with that age audience, like 6, 7-year-olds. Cause I mean, I've tried to do funny for a long time and I just couldn't quite nail it. A lot of my jokes tended to be too sophisticated. And so this is my first funny joke or my funny book coming out that I've done yet. And I feel like I've gotten it down. It took a while to get that right voice.
Uh-huh. What was your son like in those consultations? Was he hard on you? Like,
oh my
Dad,
gosh,
come on.
yeah. I think my kids, they don't think it's very interesting that I make books for a living. I think they think all dads just sit at home and draw all day and like the bills just magically get paid for everybody. But no, they're very, very astute and quite critical, actually. They actually, it's to a point now where if I want to run something by them, I have to bribe them with something because I don't know, they're not interested. They're just kind of like another book, I don't want to have to hear this. And it's like, okay, look, you get an extra 15 minutes of screen time if you let me read this dummy to you. And they're like, okay, fine. And they're like, I don't like that guy. That's not funny. That guy's hat is wrong. So they're actually it's actually very helpful.
Very good. Very good. I'm curious, you mentioned that you're coming up with a question, can I turn this into a kid's book most days and for most days? So you're walking down the street and going into a coffee shop and thinking, okay, we can make a picture book out of this.
Every day, just like overhearing somebody in the grocery store, like a commercial comes on TV before a show, a movie trailer. Movie trailers are incredible. Like they're like these condensed little stories that happen and they build tension and I don't know. So there's always, like a podcast, I'll find like a receipt or like someone's grocery list on the ground. I'm just always constantly in the back of my mind, like thinking, oh, how can I turn this into a picture book? Oh, could this make would this make a fun, interesting children's book? I don't know. It's just, once I got into picture books, it's just all I think about. Cause I can't, if you just sit down and say to yourself, okay, I've blocked off 5 hours. Here's my blank sheet of paper. Now I'm going to come up with an idea for a picture book. Like it doesn't work. Like at least my brain doesn't work that way. Like it happens when you're actually not trying to make it happen. That's when the lightning strikes.
Yeah. We had Jane Yolen on the podcast before she passed, and she's, of course, the creator of over 450 books. And when I asked her where she gets her story ideas, she goes, they're all around. You just have to look.
Yeah, no. Like, my phone is like chock full of notes, just like wall to wall with just potential ideas. And some of them, they'll say nothing but like, squirrel eats a cake or something. And I'll be like, I don't remember writing that. Like, what was that? And but there are some that are like, oh my God, this would be such a great idea. I don't know how to make it, so anyway, yeah, they're everywhere. They're just, as long as you're just receptive and you're just kind of always having that in the back of your mind. Yeah. For some people, maybe that might be, it sounds tiring, but in my brain, that's just how it's always turning. And maybe this is just a positive way to utilize my constantly spinning brain.
Maybe you could turn this into a picture book one day, and I'm happy to let you do that. I was in the gym one day, and I heard the strangest thing. A guy was getting ready to be next to me, and all of a sudden I heard, oh no, forgot my leg. And he used a prosthetic leg, and I guess he used one for walking around, and he had another one for the gym, and he forgot the one for the gym.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. That's good. That's good. I like it. I mean, even if it's just like a background character, like, oh no, I forgot my leg. And then you can see there, he's like got a prosthetic or something. Even today I was like online and somebody I follow on Instagram posted this video of their patio chair. And they were like, there was some little, like a spider egg had just hatched or something. And she's like, oh my gosh, you guys look at these cute little spiders. And then one of the kids like, wow, that's a lot of spiders. And then they turn the chair over and there's just like covered in spiders. And they're like, that's so many spiders. And I was just thinking, man, how fun would it be to like, the book starts with just like one spider and you keep turning the pages and it just gets to be more like covered in spiders. I don't know where that would go, but I think that's interesting. Like that could be a fun page turn.
Yeah. I think just doing what you were talking about, just, one turns into two, turns into four, turns into 1,000 and,
Like,
yeah.
that's too many spiders. I don't know.
Yeah.
I thought that's hilarious.
Yeah. Tell me, as you're thinking about these ideas, is the story coming to you, the idea coming to you in pictures or in words?
Definitely pictures. It's usually like one image that is typically like sort of the climax of the story, like the ultimate or the penultimate. Like, so whatever would be the height of the tension that would be in the book is usually the visual that comes to my brain first. And if it's something that seems like it'd be really fun to draw, or it'd be really fun to see it in a book, and if it's the kind of image that would get a kid excited to find out what happens next, then I know there's something there, and I'll start to lay it out just visually. I'll start to sketch it out. And the writing usually happens simultaneously, but like one step behind the art. Like I'll create a spread, I'll create maybe 6 or 7 spreads, just sketched it out. And then like I'll create sort of a story, not even looking at the artwork, but then I'll start to like, break down the poem or whatever phrasing I've created. I'll break that up and start to see where that could be spread out amongst the art to make an interesting, interaction between what you're reading and what you're seeing.
You mentioned creating images that kids that are going to make kids interested to see what's next. What's the secret to doing that, to creating those great images?
I mean, my default, the way I've done it in the past, this maybe not be, well, it could be. It's usually like one main character who wants something that nobody else wants them to have. Or, like a few of my books, it's like one character that is like a young kid, the protagonist, is doing something that the rest of the town doesn't understand or does not want, or they don't think they want it to have happen. And so this little kid about to accomplish this goal, and then you can see behind the kid all the adults like kind of freaking out. That to me is like the ultimate. That's so fun to see. Like it could be anything, but just seeing all these adults freaking out over something a little kid is doing, to me is just the best. I think that's super fun. And I've had the best luck with that, I guess, in terms of getting kids interested to see. I think kids, at least mine anyway, they love to laugh at adults. They love to see adults be silly. They love to see them make mistakes. And it's really fun for kids to see parents or adults be wrong about something. So that's always fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I did educational magic shows for 35 years, and I wasn't big into the whole, I forgot what I had to do, and I'm going crazy on stage kind of thing. But if I'm ever finding myself bombing, I just pull that out of my back pocket, and we just get the kids right into it again. It's like, okay, now I can go back to the regular show.
Right on. Oh, that's a nice trick. I'll have to remember that for when I'm doing like presentations and like school visits.
Yeah. Where'd my crayons go? Oh my goodness. Tell me, did you always? You telling us that you're always thinking about kids' books. Did you always know that you wanted to create kids' books?
No, actually, it's super funny. I graduated in the year 2000 with a bachelor's in art, specifically for illustration. And I wanted to do nothing but editorial illustration. So, because to me, that felt like this higher calling. Like I felt like doing editorial work, doing op-eds for the New Yorker, doing book reviews or film reviews for the New Yorker, or the op-eds for the New York Times, like doing political work, making commentary about what was happening in the world, current events, to me felt like, oh, this is important. This is a way to make work, where I'm actually able to like put my finger or a little bit on the conversation. And I felt like children's books was like a lowbrow medium. Mm-hmm. But then I had kids and I read a bunch of children's books, and some of them were just absolutely beautiful and gorgeous and just made me realize, oh, this is art. Like this can be something beautiful. And then I also read children's books that were just god awful, just terrible. And I thought, well, I mean, I could do better than this, at least. So that was sort of how that started. Uh-huh. But that wasn't for like 10 years into my career. So my first book came out in 2015. So that was, So yeah, I had been working for 15 years up until that point. But since I've started doing picture books, I'm just getting more and more, I've been doing more and more of them. And it's slowly become more and more of my business versus editorial. I do a lot less editorial now. Now it's mostly children's books, and then I get to pick up some editorial here and there between book projects.
Yeah. Well, at least from my perspective, the kids' books that you're creating have a longer shelf life, I think. You know, you're not commenting on a moment in history.
Oh my gosh, yeah, absolutely.
You're creating something that's gonna last a lifetime with a kid.
Yeah, if you do it right, absolutely. I mean, that's something else I realized with editorial. It's so ephemeral, and it's in the news for one day and then it goes in the trash. And at least with children's books, it's like, you know, if I'm successful at it, you know, this is going to leave a mark on a kid who's going to grow up and reference it to his college buddies or maybe read it to his kids someday or his or her kids. So yeah, I mean, to me, that's just so much more fulfilling, without a doubt. Yeah.
Tell me, what kind of, this sounds like a really fun, silly book, but what kind of conversations do you think the Beginner's Guide to Being a Wizard might spark up?
I mean, I don't know how many kids need help using their imagination, but I could absolutely see this being a book to help parents develop their skills of make-believe with their kids when, you know, they can go out and, you know, who could find the best magic stick for the best magic wand, you know, or what would make the best cloak, that kind of thing. I could see that would be really, or just like developing their own different spells with their kids. Absolutely. That would be, I could see those be the conversations that people would be having with this book.
Yeah. I'm wondering, how difficult is it for you to switch from the political commentator artist to the silly, fun, goofy kids book artist and writer?
It's not hard for me anymore because I went to grad school in 2013, and grad school for art is the most ridiculous thing in the world. Like it was so expensive, and it was like, what am I doing? Why am I paying this much money for like an MFA? Are you kidding me? However, for me, it was perfect because it really did give me the confidence to stop caring about making sure my work was consistent, you know, like, oh, this is how I draw a tree. This is a Keith Negley tree, and this is how I'll always draw trees for the rest of my life. And so therefore, everyone, when they see my tree, they'll know that's a Keith Negley tree. And before grad school, that's how I treated everything. And so to live in both children's book work, and, you know, whatever, some serious political work, I would feel like those are two separate hats. And now I'm much more at ease at just doing exactly what I want to do that day when I want to do it. So whatever I'm working on, whether that's a children's book or an op-ed for the New York Times, it's like my biggest question is like, well, what do I feel like doing? Do I want to cut paper today, or do I want to paint with watercolor, or do I want to be digital? And I start there, and I don't look at what I've done yesterday, and I don't think about what I'm going to do tomorrow. I just focus on what I feel like doing in that moment. And there are applications to the way I would draw a children's book that I can apply that same way, you know, to how I would approach an editorial for a magazine, because editorial illustration has such a broad, it just covers the gamut of different approaches. There's a lot of naive art being used. A lot of work that could work as a picture book style is getting used in editorial illustration all the time now. And so it's kind of an exciting time, I guess, to be having a foot in both worlds for that reason.
Is there another part of the art world that you're tempted to sneak into?
Probably. I guess I haven't thought of it yet. Probably. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't thought about it. I'm just having so much fun with these picture books. But I'm sure there is. I mean, it would be so much fun. It would be really fun to create some like 3D modeled figures of like some of these characters. I think that would be so much fun, and it'd be fun to like have those at shows and things. And, but no, I haven't quite gotten to that level yet where I'm like creating textiles and putting my prints on, you know, tablecloths and pajamas and things like that. But that would be very fun.
Yeah. You mentioned that there's something in your grad school that kind of gave you the whatever you needed to say, I don't care. I'm not going to follow the rules. And I have a lot of friends my age, which is, close to 100, who come up to me and, they say to me, oh, you just don't care. How do you get that? And I don't know. It's just, I kind of grew up to be a grumpy old man, I guess. But is there something you can put your finger on that said, yeah, this gave me permission to kind of just want to do what I want to do?
It was, well, I can say specifically, it was the chair of the department. I went to the School of Visual Arts in New York, and that was for my grad program. And the teacher who chaired that program was a man named Marshall Arisman, who he kind of lived in two worlds. He did editorial work, but he also did a ton of fine art paintings, and he worked in oil. And oil painting it's not very quick. It's a very slow medium. It's not really one you would think to use for editorial illustration, but he just had a method and a way of doing it, and that broke all the rules. And I just had so much respect for him as a storyteller, as a visual, image maker. And to have this person, I think of him as like Gandalf. He's like the Gandalf of illustration. And so to have Gandalf come to you and be like, you can do this. Your work is good. Like, you are worthy. Just have confidence in what you're doing because you have it. You have what it takes. Trust yourself. When Gandalf tells you that, you kind of believe it. To have him be like, you have what it takes. Just trust your gut.
Uh-huh.
That really was a huge, huge thing for me to hear. And so I came out of that program. Well, in the program itself, I started to trust myself. And the more I did that, the more people responded, to the work. I started to put that work I was making in that program in my portfolio. And then, places like all my clients, I was scared they weren't going to be into it, but they were just like, I started to get more busy making the kind of work that I really loved to make. So yeah, once I started to listen to him, it just started to snowball, and it just got bigger and bigger and bigger. And I got more and more projects that got to be bigger and more fun. And so, yeah, it just, it went from there.
I wish everybody had a chance to meet their Gandalf and give them permission to just be themselves and have confidence.
Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, I had to pay like $120,000 to hear that, but but it was well worth it. It's honorable debt to me. I'm glad to pay that off slowly but surely. But yes, absolutely. If you can meet your Gandalf without having to pay that money, more power to you.
That would be good. Yes. Well, let's sell some books. Let's tell everybody where they can go to find out more about The Beginner's Guide to Being a Wizard and find out more about you and help you pay that debt off.
Yes. Right. Let's do it. Yeah. The Beginner's Guide to Being a Wizard. Its releases officially, this month, August 25th. So you'll find it, you can get it from any bookstore that you like to go to. I mean, I know it's on Amazon, but obviously I'll always suggest you guys try to find your local indie bookstore. They're going to be more than happy to pre-order it for you, but, they should have it on the shelf as well. So, this is, through Penguin. And so it's going to be distributed everywhere. So you shouldn't have a problem finding it. But yeah, pre-order always works out best for your author illustrators. But yeah, August 25th.
And we always encourage our listeners to go to the local public library after they go to the indie bookstore and request the book to be put on the shelves.
Yep, absolutely. Of course, I can't forget about our local libraries. Yeah, they should have it as well.
Yeah. And do you have a website folks can check out?
I mean, I do, yeah. It's keithnegley.com. Super simple. And you'll see all my books up there and a lot of my editorial work as well.
Great. We've had a really fun time speaking to the author and illustrator of The Beginner's Guide to Being a Wizard. Our guest has been Keith Negley. Hey, Keith, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you so much, Jed. This was really fun. Thank you.
Hey, this episode of Reading with Your Kids is brought to you by AspireDrinks.com. Hey, I have a quick question for you. Have you ever wanted a little extra energy, but not the kind that makes your heart race or leaves you crashing an hour later? Well, that's exactly why I want to tell you about Aspire Drinks. You'll find them at AspireDrinks.com. Aspire calls itself a healthy energy drink, and honestly, that description really fits. Instead of loading you up with sugar or extreme caffeine, Aspire delivers a gentle, steady boost with 80 milligrams of natural caffeine from green tea and guarana. That's about half the caffeine of most energy drinks, enough to help you stay focused without the jitters or the crash. It's also zero sugar, 0 calories, and 0 artificial additives, which makes it a great choice for parents, teachers, and anyone trying to make healthier choices while still getting things done. And get this, it actually tastes great, light, crisp, and lightly sparkling, with flavors like sweet cherry, raspberry acai, mango lemonade. That's what I love. No heavy aftertaste and easy on the stomach. Aspire is packed with B and C vitamins, biotin, and ginger. And it's vegan, gluten-free, keto-friendly, really designed for real life. And just for Reading with Your Kids listeners, you can get an exclusive discount of 20% off. That's the highest discount available when you shop at aspiredrinks.com and use our promo code READ. That's READ at aspiredrinks.com. Healthy energy done right. You know, one of my favorite family memories growing up, and honestly still today, is gathering around the grill in the summertime. Good food, kids running around, laughing, maybe somebody reading on a picnic blanket while dinner cooks. There's just something magical about it. And speaking of cookouts, I want to tell you about a company our family has been enjoying called Big Fork Brands. Now, friends, this is not ordinary cookout food. Big Fork makes incredible bacon sausage, craft jerky, meat sticks, and those amazing Chicago-style sauces that instantly level up burgers, hot dogs, fries, all your cookout favorites. Their bacon sausage is kind of legendary. They combine hardwood smoked bacon with premium pork and create flavors like hickory and applewood, maple and brown sugar, and spicy 3-pepper. Honestly, it sounds fancy, but it's really just fun, delicious food families can enjoy together. And another thing I really appreciate, they work with small Iowa farms, raising heritage hogs outdoors without any antibiotics. So there's a real commitment to quality and sustainability behind everything they make. So here's my challenge to you this summer. Plan a Read Together cookout night. Fire up the grill. Put the phones away for a little while. Enjoy a great meal together. And in the evening, reading together as a family. And to help make it happen, Big Fork Brands is giving our listeners an exclusive 20% discount. Just head on over to bigforkbrands.com and use the promo code READ at checkout. Great food, great conversation, great books. That sounds like real magic to me. Join us once again from the beautiful state of California. Our guest is returning to Reading with Your Kids to celebrate her new picture book. Is called Carina and Sabi, A Journey to the Heart of Cidra. Please welcome back to the show, Wanda Arlene Barajas. Wanda, how are you?
Doing great. Thank you so much for having me again. Thank you so much.
Love having you on because when I have you on, I get a chance to talk a little bit about one of my favorite places in the world, the beautiful island of Puerto Rico.
And this time we get to talk a lot about it.
Yeah. So tell us, first off, who is Carina?
So Carina is a fictional character, but with a lot of me in it. So that's who Carina is.
Excellent. And she goes on some pretty cool adventures, right?
She does. So Carina and Sabi. Sabi is what we call in Puerto Rico, a paloma sabanera. In English, it translates to Puerto Rican plain pigeon. It's a pigeon. So it's a story, Carina and Sabi, A Journey to the Heart of Cidra, which is the book that I'm presenting today. It's a journey through, with Carina and Sabi, through the town of Cidra, Puerto Rico, which is a small town in the central part of Puerto Rico. And they go through, the paloma sabanera. It's like a magical, it's presented as a magical paloma sabanera pigeon. And they go through, along the way, they discover, more beauty about Cidra, Puerto Rico in general, but it's concentrated in Cidra, about her heritage, her family, her traditions. And that's what Carina and Sabi is about.
You know, I have a beautiful, beautiful story about Puerto Rico and pigeons. We're in San Juan. My daughter was 2, or maybe a little bit younger. But anyways, when she came along second. And so when my son, when she was born, my wife kind of said, oh, you know, we got to make sure my son gets enough attention. So I was kind of focusing in on my son and doing stuff with him. And my daughter and I, we did stuff together, but it wasn't as, you know, because there was my son there. And we're down in San Juan, and we're in old San Juan, and there was a little plaza, and there was a bazillion pigeons in this one plaza. And my daughter was fascinated, and she wanted to go in amongst the pigeons, but she didn't want to do it by herself, and no one else was willing to do it. So I took her by the hand, and we walked in, and we sat down, and we're surrounded by the pigeons, and she just loved it. And at one point, my beautiful wife was able to take a picture. My daughter just kind of went and put her head on my shoulder, and it was just so cool. And it was at that moment, it's like going, oh yeah, we're here, we're bonded, this is cool. I don't have to worry about anything.
You know, the funny thing is that the pigeons that you have in San Juan is actually different than the Paloma Sabanera. Very, very similar. Very, very similar. But the Paloma Sabanera is a specific pigeon that it's only in Puerto Rico. They have similars that are in like the Dominican Republic and Cuba and, you know, that part of the other region. But the Paloma Sabanera specifically, it's only in Puerto Rico, and it is actually, you see them in like I mentioned before, in the eastern central part of Puerto Rico. So the part, and I'm pretty sure you're probably familiar with it, but it's more like the Cidra, Comerío, Caguas, Aguas Buenas, and Calley. It's more like the central eastern part. And that's where they live because they have to be very close to water, very close to a more cooler place. So there are a variety of different pigeons in Puerto Rico, but this one is very specific and very important. And there is a reason why I wrote this book about this specific pigeon.
Okay.
That is because it's in danger it's endangered species. So yes. So this is actually how the book came about. After I wrote Benny the Brave, my first book, the inspiration grew. I was going, as always, going through TikTok and the social media and things like that. And I started reading about the Paloma Sabanera. I already knew about it because obviously I grew up in Cidra where we know about it. I've seen it. And we have actually a festival in Cidra called the Paloma Sabanera. But started reading how danger it is in like one more hurricane and we can see the extinction of it. So they're doing so many things to try to work with the community, work with the government, just to make sure to work and make sure that we don't get, doesn't get extinct. Right. So that is one of the reasons that is inspired me to write about it. Besides the point that it is from my town. So it was very, very important to me.
Yeah. Well, it's beautiful. And I love that you're writing and celebrating Puerto Rico. It's such a beautiful part of our nation. I mean, that's what we need to remember. Puerto Rico is part of the United States. It's a beautiful part of the United States. There's the beautiful rainforest, the culture of Puerto Rico, the food is amazing. I remember the first time I had pernil. Oh my goodness, my head almost exploded. It was just so good. So I love anytime we get to talk about Puerto Rico and celebrate that culture. Unfortunately, they're going through a rough time right now with the water situation.
They are. It's very sad. We're hoping actually, I just got back from Puerto Rico, 2 weeks ago. in a more personal note, I had to go to Puerto Rico to put my dad to lay to rest, 2 weeks ago. Thank you. And, we started seeing, especially in the book, I wanted to make sure that the book was very authentic when it comes to places and things like that. So one of the places in the book is the lake, which is one of the most important, if not one of the most beautiful illustrations in the book, personally for me, because it brings a lot of memories with my dad and my family and everything like that. And I have a friend, she has a house close to the lake, and we went through the lake. We were staying actually in a hotel that is by the lake, and it was very, very low. And it's a very sad situation. I'm hoping that they get some rain. They haven't gotten any rain either. So I'm hoping they get some rain and they get some help, when it comes to, the community and everywhere in Puerto Rico.
Right. Yeah. I remember I was performing on tour performing in Puerto Rico back in the early 90s, and they were going through a similar drought, where, they had water for 48 hours and then it was off for 48 hours and kind of switching back and forth. And I was in Bayamon at a school, I think it was Santa Rosa, and they were building a stage outside. And I said to the people, what's going to happen if it rains? Where are we going to go? And they laughed at me. They said, it hasn't rained in 6 months, 8 months, whatever it was. And so I said, okay, fine. We started the show. Halfway through the show, the sky opened up. It was just crazy rain, monsoon stuff. And the kids were so happy. They were dancing in the rain. And I'm looking around. The principal said, finish your show. Go for it. So we finished it in the rain. It was great.
So Jed, we need to take you back to Puerto Rico.
I definitely, we're planning on it. We were there, a couple years back. Again, the first thing we did my son-in-law was with us. It was his first time in Puerto Rico. We got off the plane. 3 hours later, we were at a funeral home in El Campo for my beautiful wife's aunt. And, we're in the wake, and when we left, it was dark, and we were parked in the cemetery. And my son-in-law had never heard. He had heard about Puerto Rico, but he'd never been there. And we're walking through a cemetery in the dark, and he's hearing the coquis and all these different noises. And he said, what's that? And I said, well, that's the chupacabra. And he said, what's that? And I said, well...
No, but the sound of the coquille, that's beautiful. That will put you to sleep, at least to me.
Yes, it is. It is. Tell me, the love that you have for the island, inspiring you to write these stories and share the stories. What's the thing you hope that most families will get out of reading the book? Obviously, it's great for kids in the diaspora here to see themselves portrayed positively in the pages of books. But what about a family that they're not from Puerto Rico? They don't have any connection to Puerto Rico. What do you want them to get out of this story?
I think they can approach, and I got this question from a friend as well. And I think for me, they can approach it as curiosity, right? Mm-hmm. I think that they can enjoy it within the book. They can enjoy the adventures first, and then use the story as an invitation to learn more. So we may get someone that might look Cidra on a map. Even Puerto Rico, if they don't know where Puerto Rico is on a map, right? So they may learn about the paloma sabanera and pick some interest in regards to this bird. They might listen, like we were talking about, the sound of the coquille. We love that. So, or, they may talk about, some of the Spanish, words that are in the book. In the English book, I purposely, left a few words in Spanish within the book, right? Uh-huh. But at the end of the book, in the author's note, I actually wrote the Spanish words and their definition, so kids get that interest, right? And like I said, that curiosity. And then they can bring that back into a conversation back to their own family. So I think it can pick that interest into, hey, so what are the important things in my culture, right? The things that surround me, like what are the birds or the flowers or the trees or anything that surrounds me that are important, that they may be in danger. So I think that's the way to approach it, right? I think learning about someone else's culture can actually give children another way to become curious about their own culture.
I like that. I really do like that. And I can definitely see how reading this book can inspire that, because it's like, yeah, this is important to Carina. So what's important to you? What is it about our culture, our traditions that we want to share with the rest of the world?
For me, the inspiration really grew out of my own connection to Puerto Rico, right? So, growing up there and gave me such a experience. I wanted to create that experience in a story for others who experience the same thing, right? As you know, I'm very proud of being Puerto Rican. I'm very proud where I come from. So, as we keep mentioning the green mountains and the sound of the cookies and the trees and the warmth of the community. And so for me, it's more than just that landscape of Puerto Rico, right? For me, that was the background of my childhood. So I wanted to take some of those memories and those feelings and turn them into something that children can experience through a story. So I especially wanted children to, as we mentioned before, in Puerto Rico, but also children in the diaspora, that to feel that connection, to feel that that place and feel proud of where they come from, or where their family come from, So that was important to me. I wanted to make sure that they understand that, that is important where you're from, that you should be proud of where you're from. So one thing, where we come from matters, right? So, and where we carry that connection with us, wherever we go. I'm always going to be Puerto Rican wherever I go. So I wanted to make sure the kids have that understanding, whether they're Puerto Ricans or not, because they don't have to be Puerto Ricans. As we were mentioning before, this can carry into other cultures, into your own culture, just to be proud of where you're from, your culture, your heritage, everything that surrounds you.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. One of the things, when I did marry my beautiful wife, a lot of my friends are like, oh, dude, the cultures are so different. Oh my goodness, how are you going to get along? And I quickly found out there's not there's differences. My wife's family eats rice and my family ate potatoes, and, we spoke English and they spoke Spanish, but that's about it. But they were better dancers than me. But, otherwise there's so many similarities between the cultures. And I think that's another great thing that books can kind of show us, is that, yeah, there's differences, but there are a lot of those are a lot of surface differences. Deep down, we're all part of one beautiful human family.
100%. And I think bringing it into a story, it brings that too, right? Because I think as a writer and as an author, I think putting stories out there about, as I mentioned before, about other cultures, it just brings that connection. Sometimes we don't think we're connected, but we are very much connected in a lot of different ways. So I think it is important to understand that we are connected. We have a lot of connections that we probably do not know that we do, but we do.
Yeah. Yeah. So what's next for you? What are you working on? I know the book is just coming out now, but an author always has something, spinning lots of plates. What else do you have spinning in the air?
So, as I mentioned, I just came back from Puerto Rico, and being back home brought so many memories. Being around my family, obviously, when you go to a funeral, you get to see a lot of family you have not seen in a long time. So, it brought so many memories, feelings, and a lot of ideas surfaced. So right now I feel like I have all the stories in my head and all the possibilities that I can write about. And I think I just need some time to sit down, put them together and see where they lead me. But I have a feeling that this journey with Carina, Sabi, Cidra, and Puerto Rico may still have some stories to tell. And I think we'll bring some more.
Yeah, yeah. You know, you and I, we mentioned the quirky without explaining what a quirky is. Can you let folks know that they may not be familiar with this beautiful creature?
Again, the quirky is from Puerto Rico, although they have been trying to put him in other places, never survived. It's a little frog, and it makes this distinct song or sound that it's like a quirky. So that's how it goes at night. And it's just, when you have multiple of them, it sounds like a beautiful song and like an orchestra for me, at least for me. They even sell CDs with, those spa CDs or things like that people can listen to it. I have one. It just brings me so much, joy to listen to it.
Yeah. Yeah. It really is. When you're out in the country, and even in the cities, but definitely when you're out in El Campo, way out in the country at night, boy, it is, a symphony is a great explanation. It sounds like there's a symphony playing.
Absolutely. And Cidra is a campo. So that's the reason why Cidra has so many, so much, culture and the animals, the paloma sabanera and the coquis. And you will hear all of that because Cidra it's in the country. So it's a campo part of Puerto Rico.
Yeah. Hey, let's tell everybody where they can go to find out more about Carina and Sabi, A Journey to the Heart of Cidra, and find out more about you.
So I have my website, www.wandabarajas.com, and there you can find the book. You can actually request to be signed or even dedicated. Aside from my website, it's everywhere where books are sold online, Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, and Books A Millions, everywhere. It is, this time around, it's in hardcover, paperback, and ebook. So I have all three available. Through my website, you have the hardback and the paperback, and then everywhere else where you can find the ebook, you should be able to find it.
And it's available in both English and Spanish, correct?
That is correct. That is correct. It's for me, that was important as well. I wanted to make sure that we had that bridge in there. So it is in English and Spanish. You have some kids that feel more familiar with the English language, but then the parents or the grandparents may feel more familiar with the Spanish. So I wanted to make sure that I had that bridge and that connection in there.
We've had a wonderful time speaking to the author of Carina and Sabi, A Journey to the Heart of Cidra. Our guest has been Wanda Arlene Barajas. Hey, Wanda, thanks so much for being back on Reading with Your Kids.
Thank you, Jed. Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode of Reading with Your Kids and will join us for the next exciting episode of the show. This episode made you smile or gave you something to think about. Please consider sharing a link to the show with someone you love. Leave a 5-star review and, of course, subscribe to the show wherever you find your favorite shows. Also, please be sure to connect with us on social media, facebook.com/readingwithyourkids, at Reading With Your Kids on Instagram, at JedleyMagic on X, our YouTube channel, youtube.com/readingwithyourkids, and our website, readingwithyourkids.com. I want to thank the folks who made today's show so wonderful, starting with our guest, Keith Negley. Please be sure to check out The Beginner's Guide to Being a Wizard. Also want to thank Wanda Arlene Barajas. Please be sure to check out Carina and Sabi, A Journey to the Heart of Cidra. I want to thank my incredible team, Daylene Rose Advina Lopez, Chris Doherty. I want to thank my beautiful wife for all the support she gives me. Most of all, we all want to thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. And as always, thank you so very much for taking the time to make the world a better, more empathetic, more caring place, and to give your kids what they really want and need most of all, and that's your undivided attention. And you do that every single time you read with your kids. I'll be looking for you in the next episode of Reading with Your Kids.
Hey kids, are you ready? Ready to read? Ready to dream? Let's go! Let's go! Open up a book and the world begins. Adventure calls the moment you dive in. Flip that page, who knows what you'll see? A dragon, a robot, a mystery. Every chapter is a brand new ride. With a passport stamped inside your mind. So grab a book, let the fun begin. Every reader is a champion. Read it for fun. Raise your voice and shout it loud. Read it for fun. Be a dreamer, brave and proud. Stories take you anywhere, from mountains high to underwater air. So come on, everyone. Ready for fun. Let's go! Reading in the morning or late at night, under a blanket with a flashlight bright. Silly stories make your belly laugh. Epic quests need a treasure map. Superpowers hiding in each line. And guess what? You've got yours inside. Open a book, let your heart explore. Read one story, then read more. Read for fun. Let the words all come alive. Read for fun. Every page helps your dreams thrive. Fly with fairies, dance with space raccoons. Ride a comet straight past the moon. So come on, everyone. Read for fun. Who loves stories? We do. Who loves reading? Me and you. What makes magic? Books